everyone, and welcome to the 102nd episode of Dragon Quest Slime Time, a Dragon's Den podcast. This is your host, Pendy.
And this is Jen.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Questmas, slimes and cheese slimes!
Oh, it's Questmas Santa. Have you come to give us presents?
Oh, Santa! I promise all the Slime Time hosts here have been good girls and boys.
Ho, 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 ho! Wait, slime time? I thought this was Dragon Quest FM.
No, this is Slime Time. We have Slime Time Prime, Slime Time Side Quest, and All Trades DQ Media, Abby?
Ho, ho, ho! I've never heard of any of those.
If you're looking for Dragon Quest FM, it's down 2 blocks, take a left, and it's just beyond the Screen Rant building. You might have to listen to a 30-second commercial first, but you'll get there eventually.
Ho, ho, ho! Thank you so much. Until next time, slime time. Ho, ho, ho!
Well, that was seasonally depressing. I would have even been okay if we were on the naughty list this year versus no list at all. But that's okay, because we have a wonderfully uplifting topic to talk about today.
Some would say it's tree-rific.
See, this is why Santa is going to DQFM. And I was even going to ask for crafting supplies this year, too.
Speaking of crafty, let's welcome Carlos Velez to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
As we do with any new guest, we'll get to know their love of Dragon Quest first.
Right, I'm going to dive right in. Carlos, how did you first get into Dragon Quest?
Well, I've been into Dragon Quest for as long as I can remember. It started out with me at 4 years old watching my mom and grandpa play RPGs together on the NES. That actually included the original 4 Dragon Quest games back when they were known as Dragon Warrior. And I was just mesmerized watching everything play out. As soon as I was old enough to understand how to play, i.e. knew how to read, I played and finished those same games and have been hooked on the series ever since.
And now I feel old because I'm probably similar in age to your grandpa.
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, so what is your favorite Dragon Quest mainline game?
It's a toss-up between 3 or 4 for me. 3 for the job class system. I've always felt like that was my favorite way they implemented it. And 4 for the story and how it's presented. I just love like the chapter, how they break it out into chapters. And also I will say childhood nostalgia really does play into why I like those games so much.
Oh yeah, that's why I love 4 too. I just fell in love with that chapter system and going to see everybody's little story before they all combined in chapter 5. That was so great.
So good.
It helps that the characters are super likable and all that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's not one character in that game I dislike, so that's saying something. Now, thinking about the games, there's also a lot of Dragon Quest spin-off games. Can you let me know what your favorite one of those is?
I loved Rocket Slime back when it first came out, and I'm kind of upset that they've kind of stopped making games for it. It's so charming. It brought a dumb smile to my face every single time I played it.
Such a good game. I was a big fan of the tank battles in Rocket Slime, so I definitely agree with you there. It's a great game.
Oh, me too. I love the one that we got, and one of these days I need to play the fan translation of the third one where you battle on ships instead of tanks. So that looks like fun too. So what is your favorite Dragon Quest monster?
I'm going to go ahead and say slime, mostly because I
Yeah.
have countless slime merchandise in my game room, like a bunch of like acrylic figures, plushies, and all that. But a close second for me would be the Canabox family, so like Canabox, Mimics. The reason why is like I've always kind of really enjoyed like Mimics in video games, like you're just exploring, opening a chest, and all of a sudden it takes a bite out of you. And I just think the Canabox design is like one of my favorite designs for a Mimic in any game I've played.
Have you seen the Canabox tissue box that they came out with? I think it's like a tissue plush.
I've not seen that one yet. I'm going to have to pick that up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to send you the link.
Please do.
Yeah, because there should be some import shops that have it still. But yeah, it's like a Canabox, and I think it's like a plush form, and then you take tissues out of it. It's hilarious.
That's going right in the game room, right in the coffee table.
I am currently having my own problems with some Canabox family members in Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Not going to spoil anything for anyone, but woo, they are tough.
Oh, post game. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right.
I got that to look forward to.
Yeah. So now that we know your favorite monster, I want to know your favorite Dragon Quest character.
So I absolutely adore Sylvando from 11. For me, he just steals every scene and battle with his antics, just seeing him go nuts on monsters when he's using two falcon swords. But I also really like that, throughout the storyline, he's so compassionate and kind to just about everyone in the game. He's a good example of what I feel like non-toxic masculinity should be. Like, he's just a legit good person.
No, I agree. And that's another Dragon Quest game where the cast of characters is so good. I don't hate anybody in that game either, at least among the party that you have.
Definitely. And Sylvando really steals the show. I mean, for me, he's absolutely delightful to use as a character, and just to see his abilities grow throughout the game, kind of gated with some of his abilities being gated on top of his amazing personality. So I thought he was great. So that's a wonderful pick, Carlos.
Yeah, thanks. I want to cosplay him as one day as soon as I can find either my friend or get my roommate to make the costume for me. Like, I just think he'd just be cool to just act like him at at a con or something.
Oh,
man,
cool.
I'd join your parade.
I did see like the pictures of all the clown costumes, so that's my backup in case, because I don't know, the clown costumes are pretty cool too.
Was it the Parade of Smiles? Is that what it's called? I can't remember.
That's it, the Parade of Smiles.
Yes, get a good Parade of Smiles going. That'd be great. So what is your favorite Dragon Quest game mechanic, such as like casinos, job classes, monster collecting, arena fights, etc.?
Job classes or anything that allows some kind of customization for the characters. So like when they had like the skill distribution or skill developments in I believe it was 8 and 11. I'm a huge micromanager when it comes to RPGs. I need to be able to just adjust my characters based off their strengths, their weaknesses, adjust their stats to make them like overpowered as much as I can. So when I have that opportunity to do that in any RPG, it's a huge plus for me.
Very nice, very nice. And are there any Dragon Quest games that have previously come out that you haven't had a chance to play yet, that you're looking forward to playing at some point?
I'd love to try out a few games in the Monster spin-off series. I've honestly never had the chance to play them before. I do have the Dark Prince waiting for me after I finish the HD 2D remake, so that's probably going to be the next one I jump into. For the mainline, though, I want to go back and try give Dragon Quest VI another chance. I didn't spend too much time with that. I had played it like in a way back in the 90s that I'm not going to mention, but I just didn't give it enough of a chance, I think, because I've heard like it takes a little bit of effort to enjoy, but like I'm willing to give it a try.
I'd recommend the mobile version of that game if you try it again. I'd say it's a little bit more forgiving.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good way to get back into it without having to mess with like emulation and whatnot. And it's not like there's a lot missing, but like that translation patch of the original like is only maybe 95%. So there's a few things here and there that are missing. So if the 3DS is hard to do because that's so expensive now to find a copy. But yeah, the mobile version's an easy way to play it if you want to give it another chance.
I'll definitely do that.
So next we'll go into Carlos's Dragon Quest Perler project. He has been building Dragon Quest Perler monsters and putting a new one on his Christmas tree every day. He had been posting the pictures on the Dragon Questers Facebook group, and that's where it caught our attention. So with that in mind, can you explain to us what your project is all about?
It's basically just a way for me to decorate my tree with my own creative spin. I've been making Perlers for like the past just about 10 years now. So when I started like putting up a Christmas tree, I wanted to do something special that I feel like not many people usually do. So I'd come up with a theme, make Perlers related to the theme, and just treat it like an advent calendar where I'll post a new ornament each day in December leading up to Christmas.
That's such a cool and creative way to kind of celebrate the season. I know a lot of people really enjoy those advent calendars, my kids included, and getting chocolate or whatever. But I love the idea of rewarding yourself with something that you're interested in. What inspired you to do Dragon Quest Monsters of this time?
So basically, because the new HD 2D remake came out, I've been playing it. I figured like, okay, I need a theme for my tree this year. I love Dragon Quest. It's literally like my favorite RPG series. So why don't I do a Dragon Quest monster tree and make it all monsters from 3? That was the main reason why I did. A secondary reason that sort of came up like as I was doing it was with Akira Toriyama's tragic passing. I've always been a huge fan of him and his art. art's so important to the series. This felt like a good way to honor him and the work that he have done.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that. So how did you get into Perler bead art, and what was your first project that you ever did?
So I do go to a lot of anime and gaming conventions, and I saw people selling Perler art at the artist alleys, and that's what caught my interest the first time. Up until then, I've never seen Perler beads and seen them put together like that before. So I bought my very first one. Oddly enough, it was a Dragon Quest 1 slime. From there, I figured, why don't I see if I can do it myself? So did a little research, got my own beads, started out with a mixed tub of just random assorted beads that I sorted out one by one painfully. So I had all the colors separated. But then after that, I just started building, and I had so much fun with them. And then later on, I just decided, why don't I open up a side Etsy shop and see what I can sell, see what people would want commissioned. I've had it up and running for the past 9 years. The very first project I made was a figure of Metal Man from Mega Man 2, and it's still sticking to my fridge to this very day.
I love the Mega Man sprites so much. That is awesome. I adore that. And the fact that it's still on your fridge after all this time, impressive.
I figured the glue would have wore it off by now, but I guess I did it good.
See, this is the quality we're talking about, so everyone can go to your Etsy shop and get some. I love that.
Thank you.
And how do you decide which Dragon Quest monsters that you were going to use for your project this year to go on your tree?
So the first thing I did was I pulled up the monster list in a sprite sheet and pretty much just scanned through them for things for the monsters that I like personally. Also gone based off just my favorite designs, the favorite color schemes within the reskins, and even which ones had my favorite names. That's pretty much why Crabber Dabber Do and Hell Nino made the cut. I just think I just really like the punny names some of these monsters have. I also made sure not to just keep adding recolors to the same monsters, so no metal slimes this year, unfortunately.
Well, plus they would just run away off the tree anyway, so that makes sense.
100%. My cats try to play with them. They're like, yeah, I'm dipping out. Bye.
Only it takes 3 hits to take them out, so I would be concerned that your cats could get some experience.
What sprite models have you been using from which games to do this?
So they're all coming from the same game, the Super Famicom version of Dragon Quest 3. I was using those sprites because they felt like the most feasible way to do it with the limited Perler bead palette that they have. I actually just restocked my beads, and I saw a bunch of new colors were added, so I'll have to add those at some point. But I also picked that one because they feel like they're a lot livelier than the original NES and the Game Boy Color versions.
More flexibility with that palette. I feel like the Super Nintendo really lends itself to that amount of detail. So
Absolutely.
I have to ask if you can share, and I totally understand if you can't, who is number 25? Who's going on the top of your tree this year?
So as much as I'd love to share that, I think I'm going to keep it a Christmas Day surprise. The good news is I did finish it last night, and it is going to get posted on the 25th. I'm not going to make people wait any longer than they need to be. People who know Dragon Quest 3 will probably be able to predict which monster it will be as more Perlers get posted. But once it's up on the tree, I think everyone's going to get a kick out of it.
Nice. I like
can't
that.
wait.
I like that you're keeping it a mystery. It's really good. So we noticed from your Facebook page that you've done this before with at least one other game series. Would you like to tell us about those projects as well?
Absolutely. So this particular holiday project, I've done it twice before, both with different themes. The first time I've actually done it was with characters from all the video games I could remember getting for Christmas as a kid. So you would have seen some from Mario, Zelda, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy characters, just to name a few. The second year, it was all villains from various games, comics, and movie franchises. That one was a lot of fun to do since I could explore various series outside of gaming.
That's pretty neat. I have to just ask a side question of how did you incorporate designing Perlers for characters that didn't have sprite sheet, those characters that weren't from video games?
So fortunately enough, if you look long and hard enough, you may find a template that somebody had created previously. One example that I did was the tree topper for last year was Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. But I didn't want to just use its sprite art. I wanted to use the scene where he's in the moon. I'm the shadow of the moon. Blah 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 at night. So basically, just made a kind of a circular perler with glow in the dark beads and just beaded out his silhouette all in black beads, and it looked really good on top of the tree.
That's awesome. It's great to know that there's ways ways to do that even for other interests that aren't necessarily video game related.
Absolutely.
And speaking of the Nightmare Before Christmas, any nightmare stories where you worked on a project and it kind of didn't work out the way you needed it to or wanted it to?
So I've been lucky enough to not have to abandon ship on a project I was working on, but I do have some incidents that happen, and it even happened this year during the project. So what I do after I'm done laying out the beads on a pegboard, I'll cover the entire piece with masking tape. I lift them off the board and heat them on the masking tape, just to keep the boards from getting heated and cooling down. They tend to warp over time. But I use some pretty strong masking tape, and on the second to last strip of tape I was laying down, I guess the roll of tape that I was using, had a little bit of hanging off it, and it got a little too close to the strip and it connected. And I tried to get it off, but it ended up lifting the entire piece right off the board before it was ready. And I wasn't able to flatten down the tape before I could remove it. So the piece just completely fell apart. So that was like an hour and a half of work I just lost. And me being me, rather than just giving up, I'm like, okay, let's peel all these off, put them in a Tupperware. Let's try again. It took a little bit less time since I already had the beads gathered, but that was just extra time had to do for something that could have been avoided.
It's like losing some save data in an RPG.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, the model in question isn't on the tree yet, but I will call it out for the headache it caused.
Oh, cool. That'll be fun to see.
Yeah, I was going to ask which one it was, so I'm looking forward to hearing about that and feeding it in battle for you in spirit.
So do you have any future projects in mind?
I'd love to do an all Pokemon tree in the future. That's been something that had been on my mind for a while now. It's just, there's so many different Pokemon, so I have to sort of limit myself to just the first 151 of the original Gen 1 Pokemon, and I have to start pretty early on that, at least a lot earlier than I did this year's project.
Gonna have a couple more than 25 days on that one, huh?
I'm gonna need at least 3 months. At the very least, I'm using the small menu sprites, so it's not like it's gonna be I don't think I have enough tree to do the full battle sprites quite yet.
I can't wait to see that one too, so looking forward to when you get around to that one.
Thank you.
Right, and that is all there is for this episode of Slime Time. Thank you so much, Carlos, for coming here and talking to us about your Perler bead project.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. So we're a non-profit podcast. We won't Perler away your hard-earned gold when we can offer you quality content for free. But if you do have some extra gold that's just completely burning a hole in your wallet, pouch, bottomless bag, hanging wall sack, or treasure chest, and you would like to donate anything to a website that's been supporting Dragon Quest fans for over 25 years, stop by the Dragon's Den by clicking the link in the show notes. There are several ways to support the Den, including affiliate links that don't cost you anything extra when making other Dragon Quest purchases, such as the remake for 3 that is out now.
We even have a Slime Time t-shirt that was designed by our resident artist, Dwayne. See the link in the show notes for it.
You can direct comments or questions for the podcast on X and Instagram at DQ Slime Time.
Join in tons of DQ discussions at the Dragon's Den forums or Discord, the Dragon's Questers and Slime Times groups on Facebook, and our brand new Dragon Questers Discord.
Please like, subscribe, and write a review for the podcast.
Dragon Quest Slime Time, sliming off.
This is Gertrude for Slime Time, reminding you all that you must complete your adventure.